Funding for Overheard with Evan Smith is provided in part by Hilco Partners, Texas Government Affairs Consultancy, and its global healthcare consulting business unit, Hilco Health, and by the Matson McHale Foundation in support of public television, and also by MFI Foundation, improving the quality of life within our community, and also by the Alice Kleberg Reynolds Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.
I'm Evan Smith. He's the two-term governor of Pennsylvania, described recently by Stephen Colbert as the only Democrat in the country leaving office this year voluntarily. A joke that may be less funny to him than us, since he's also the former general chairman of the Democratic National Committee. We'll talk the state of his state and the state of our union, and we'll talk about wusses. He's the Honorable Ed Rendell. This is Overheard. Is that a vote you'd like to have back now?
Because you're a judge, or a justice in your case, doesn't mean that you're free of personal opinions about them.
You have a dimmer view of him than you have of presidents past.
So when they take your name in vain, you just laugh it off. For the larger issue, though, in your mind, is that it's not about whether there ought to be a death penalty, but whether the death penalty as administered is fair. Governor Rendell, welcome, sir.
Nice to be here.
Very nice to see you. Who are you calling a wuss?
Well, I'd say that we are becoming a nation of wusses. We're not there yet, but you look at the things, you listen to a commercial on TV for a mundane product, and then you get the disclaimers, and you could go blind, you could be struck down. You know, it's put in by some insurance person or some lawyer, and we don't have jungle gyms anymore. I was just told that in many school districts, kids were barred from bringing peanut butter sandwiches in for their own lunch because they might give a bite to someone else who's peanut allergic. I mean, but more importantly, we've become a wuss when it comes to investing in our future, in doing things, in fighting back to the Chinese. The Chinese are absolutely killing us economically. They're stealing our intellectual property. They are coming in and illegally dumping steel products into the country to drive our steel product industry out. They're manipulating our currency. And we don't fight back. And we should be fighting back because American manufacturing is teetering on the brink of extinction. And if we become a country that doesn't make it anything anymore, we're in deep, deep trouble. And it goes to the infrastructure issue that I'm down here talking about in Texas. We used to have the best infrastructure in the world, and we were proud of it. No one had an infrastructure like America. No one had a highway system like ours. Now the American Society of Civil Engineers says we've got a D- infrastructure, and nobody seems to care about it.
What happened?
I think we've lost our pioneering spirit, we've lost our boldness, we've lost our courage. Heck, there was a day when everything new in this world was invented here in America. 51% of the patents issued by the U.S. Patents Office are being issued to foreign nationals now.
That's got to be an all-time high.
Look at our education system. It used to be #1 in the world by far. Not just our college system, but our K through 12. Now we're 19th in math and 21st in science. It's a disgrace, and what gets me is nobody seems very upset about it. Nobody seems alarmed about it. And the football game was only a metaphor.
Well, we're talking about, of course, the cancellation of the Vikings-Eagles game, or the postponement because of snow.
And they postponed it before a drop of snow had fallen.
Right.
They
postponed for fear of the weather.
For fear of the weather. At 11 o'clock in the morning. This is a football game. Tom Hanks said there's no crying in baseball. Well, there's no canceling football games for bad weather. It's football.
And your point in all this was, if it were the Chinese, they would have all been walking down the street. No question.
If they couldn't have driven, they would have walked to the stadium. And I actually quoted a reporter who said that they would be doing advanced calculus problems in their head
on
as
the
they
way.
walked to the
Exactly.
stadium.
Not to waste a moment.
Not to waste a moment.
And your point was, we're wusses for not doing that. You know, you sound like a presidential candidate.
No.
No, I know. I mean, you're just about to finish your second term as governor of Pennsylvania. We're sitting here on the edge of your returning yourself to the private sector.
My biggest problem right now, Evan, is learning how to drive again. You know, not worried about.
When was the last time you were behind a car yourself?
About 20 years.
Is that right?
Because I was mayor of Philadelphia.
Forgive me for staying out of state for a little while, actually. Right.
Well, I was mayor of Philadelphia for 8. Then I was DNC chair, and I just flew everywhere. Campaigned for 2, and then governor for 8. In fact, I think the reason I was reelected so handily in Pennsylvania was because the citizens didn't want me driving.
They want you back on the street. You know, we forget about the lives that you all lead. The famous bubble is famous because it's true. You are insulated from a lot of the stuff the rest of us are.
And I probably tried harder and succeed more at it to be a regular person than anybody else. I won't let my troopers go into a restaurant with me. I won't let them go to the gym with me. I won't let them go to the ball game with me. They'll take me down to the ball game.
Yeah.
They can stand and watch it, but they're sure as heck not sitting.
And you're not exactly a private figure. You're a public figure. You're the epitome of somebody who's been on television. Everybody knows you, so I'm sure you get mobbed at
But
these
the
places.
interesting thing is, when you talk about security,
Yeah.
if someone wants to trade their life for yours, it doesn't matter how many.
They're going to do it.
Most politicians have security because they don't like to talk to people or they don't want to be bothered. I happen to like to mix it up with people, even people who disagree with me.
That's how that goes. So it's been two terms as governor of Pennsylvania. So how'd you do?
Well, we had a Republican legislature for my first 4 years and a split legislature for my last 4. But I looked at my campaign promises that I made in 2002, and in each and every one of them, we made significant progress. Did we get 100% of the way there? Mm-hmm. In education, yes. In other fields, probably 65, 70, 80%. But we made significant progress. So I think I would give us an A-, and I would give it to us in part because of my ability to lead and drive things, but in part because I had just great people working for me, great women and men who are just, I think, a perfect commentary on the people we had. We have 19 people now working in the Obama administration in Washington.
Who came out of Pennsylvania.
Came out of our administration.
How did you accomplish so much with a legislature controlled by the other party, at least part of the time?
Well, 2 things. One, I went to them early. I wanted to do my first year as mayor, as governor, a massive $2.5 billion economic stimulus program. It wasn't a bad word in those days.
Yeah, it wasn't a dirty word, right?
It wasn't a dirty word.
Yeah.
But I sat down and said, here's what I want. Here are the programs. Do you want to modify them? Do you have anything to add? Well, the Republicans gave me 2 terrific programs that I hadn't thought of. I put them in. The Republicans wanted a say in distributing some of the money. They didn't want the governor to be able to hand it all out. So we created something called the Commonwealth Finance Authority, and people thought it wouldn't work. It's worked very, very well.
Right.
So we compromised, we incorporated, and then there were times, like on education funding, that I just took to the streets and whipped up public opinion. And also, the governor has the veto pen of the budget and can line item the budget.
Right.
So come budget time, I was able to drive a lot of the things I wanted into the budget.